Hey guys, listen, I have been getting so many questions about coronavirus and how to run your practice while we're doing coronavirus, while coronavirus is on, while maybe social distancing is on. What happens if you practice in Italy where we've stopped commerce, etc.? I've had so many questions because there's so much fear and panic right now, and people have mouths to feed and roofs to put over their head and staff to pay and rentals to pay. So I've taken a whole bunch of questions from all the questions that I've been getting right now about what to do in your bricks and mortar practice to help minimize the risk and drive revenue while you're doing it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's helpful.
First question from Dr. Mary in Connecticut. What should I be doing to prepare for the impact of the coronavirus?
Okay. First of all, I think, Dr. Mary, your awareness that you should be doing something or asking the question is the first part. One of my greatest mentors taught me that the first part to change is awareness. So I think the fact that you're asking the question is absolutely true, because there's going to be so many entrepreneurs and practice owners right now that are going to be like deer in the headlights. That's what's going to happen. Everyone's just going to be staring at their TV screens, waiting to be told what to do. And the people that actually take proactive action right now are going to win. So good economies create complacency. Those of us, and then what happens, everyone panics when the tide goes out and you see who's really naked on the beach, is for people who have just been relying on the good economy, on free spending power and opportunity for people to gain access to funding and opportunity for people to have a more disposable income because everything's going well. So I do think, first of all, your concern and your thought process to be preparing right now is the first part of the battle, and I think you're already winning just by thinking about it. So first of all, I just want to say that. So here's what I think every single bricks and mortar business should be doing. I think every single bricks and mortar business should be looking at the different leverage points of the business and understanding there are different leverage points to either decrease costs or increase revenue, and every single cent matters soon. Let me say it again. I truly believe that every single cent matters right now. Okay, so one of the big leverage points if you're a bricks and mortar business, more so in countries like the United Kingdom, and if you practice in, say, New York City and places like that, is going to be the impact that rentals are going to have on the proportion of your income. Only due to the fact that if wherever you're practicing in the world, you go into the delay phase, which is basically the big thing of the delay phase that kills our businesses, bricks and mortar business, unless you have the skill set to monetize certain aspects of the business even while you're not open, which I'll talk about in my podcast, is social distancing. So social distancing will affect all of our businesses, whether we like it or not, if you're bricks and mortar. If you look at Italy right now, we have zero commerce in Italy. The only thing you're allowed to do is open if you're a food store or open if you're a pharmacy. Big pharma always wins, right? Irritatingly. But what I would say is what I think you should be doing right now are the following things. One, looking at how you can save costs from a leverage perspective. May only be if the social distancing comes in, but certainly have conversations with your landlords. They also want to support you. Most of you have been there for years and years and years. So don't be afraid. I would say don't be proud to have the conversations, first of all. Second of all, I think that every single person with a bricks and mortar business, what bricks and mortar businesses are terrible at, worst in the world, we give no thought to this, is we give no thought to follow up and nurture. And I think that those people that give more thought to follow up and nurture right now are going to win. And by follow up, I mean, how are you communicating with your past patients? How are you communicating with your current patients? I think that's going to be very, very important for everyone right now, is to be thinking about follow up and nurture. I also think that the concept of reversed loyalty is going to come into play right now. So to answer your question, Mary, without going too much off the topic, is because it's a huge topic, what should I be doing? What you should be doing right now, you should be getting lists together. So how Donald Trump won the last election was not social media like everyone thinks. It was the fact that he had more data on everyone than anyone. And how he gained that data might be questionable, but the fact of the matter is you want to be gathering lists right now. You want to be gathering lists like who has been coming to the practice for many, many years and a current patient, who's been coming to the practice for many, many years, who's not a current patient, who has spent over $1,000, who's spent over $2,000, who's active, currently see me, and then who spent over $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, maybe more, who is not who's inactive, who has referred me people, who has brought whole families in. Because I'm telling you right now, you're going to need to use that data very, very, very soon to either reactivate patients or offer a better front end offers, if you will, to people who are currently not in your database, etc. You can use it as an opportunity to reactivate relationships with certain people if your education is really good. So I think that's what you should be doing right now, is looking at gathering lists and getting ready from that perspective, because and then educating yourself, educating yourself from how you're going to drive revenue in the business even if you close. So that's my short answer to Dr. Mary. I hope that's helpful. There are many things you can be doing right now, but that in a nutshell, to answer your question, it would be and last thing, from a leadership perspective is, if you look how Boris Johnson here in the United Kingdom handled, he did an address yesterday, and I was so impressed with him. And it was really keep calm and carry on. But you don't forget your team needs leadership too. And most of the times in a crisis, a lot of the leaders shy into the background and run away, and they think they're doing a good job by being positive and not addressing it. But it's the opposite that happens. People need to be led right now. And from a leadership perspective, I think that you should absolutely be having meetings with the teams about how you're going to address the current situation and what you can do about it. So I hope that's helpful. Mary. I can tell you right now that some people are going to come through this even stronger because they're giving some thought, like you are, to where they're going to be in 3, 6 months or a year.
Next question from Dr. Mike in the United Kingdom. What marketing strategies are you going to be focusing on in light of COVID-19?
Okay, great question. I've been saying this for a long time, and sometimes I get a little stick from practice owners who say that if you're good at the thing, you shouldn't have to market. But I've been saying a long time that the worst number in business is 1, meaning that what if, and it's a hypothetical question, but what if your referrals get taken away from you? And this may be one of those cases. So first of all, what strategies I think people should have is there's 2 parts to the question: is the skill set to understand that it's probably not just one strategy, Dr. Mike. It's understanding that you're going to have to have many many lines in the fishing lines in the pond, if you will, or irons in the fire. Because I truly believe that it's going to become very important now to have multiple sources of new patients, or multiple revenues, or multiple opportunities to get new patients. I think there's also 2 parts to what I'm going to focus on during, let's say, the eventuality, if that is the case, that we enter into the social distancing phases wherever you're practicing the world. What I'm going to do then, and then what can I do after? So I think, obviously, during the social distancing phase, if your country goes into that, you may be watching this from Italy right now, which has got 0 commerce. You can't do anything in Italy right now. They should absolutely, I think that the strategy we'll be focused on, if you will, we are launching strategies right now prior to the possibility that social distancing is coming. And I think your email list is going to become very important. I think your current database is going to become very important. I think you understanding that current database is going to become very important. So to answer your question, the strategy I think that everyone should be focusing on right now, immediate effect, is the strategy is actually getting data ready, getting lists ready, getting message. You could even have specific message to offer to certain clientele ready. For instance, let me give you an example. If you know someone has, for instance, bought a care plan that's maybe your care plan is called a silver plan, then I think your message to market match is going to be important. There is actually going, hey, I know you've done this before. We've actually got, we're actually in our business, we're looking at putting a positive spin on it and donating funds to our local communities in the form of rebates and opportunities to have reduced care. So we're actually donating in the sum of 400,000, if you will, in discounts, etc., to help people continue with their care. So you can put a marketing spin on it from that perspective. We feel really good about it, that we're being proactive about it, because chiropractic helps with the immune system. So that's a great feeling, first of all. So the marketing strategy I'll be focusing on right now is getting lists together and looking at specific message to market matches or offer to market matches, and making sure that it's not just an email to the entire list, but it's certainly an email to people who have spent over £1,000 or over $1,000 or over $2,000, and having a specific offer for them, and a specific offer for people who maybe didn't feel they needed chiropractic care but try to get them in, and a specific offer for people who bring the whole family in. I think that's what I'd be focusing on. That's what we are focusing on. I'm in the game, 8 practices. So to answer your question right now, I truly believe that the most important strategy you should be focusing on right now is gathering data, and also, if you don't have the skill set to put together an email campaign or a direct marketing campaign or copywriting campaign, because you may not be able to rely on face-to-face selling it for a little while. So you have to have the skill set to be able to either drum business up from a marketing standpoint and move from a marketing-focused company, from a sales-focused company to a marketing-focused company, because in the one-on-one game, dentist, doctor, chiropractor, we may have the one-on-one aspect of our business taken away from us. So how do you work from that's a sales-focused business, if you will. How do we move that to a marketing-focused business? So that's the first thing I'll be focusing on. I'd also be focusing on making sure that you're embracing the concept of reverse customer loyalty, because boy, are we going to need it. We're going to have to reverse the customer loyalty, in that we are going to have the ones showing extreme loyalty and going the extra mile for our patients very, very soon. That's my prediction with it. So hope that answers your question about be focusing right now on gathering data, gathering lists together, just in case you have to implement marketing strategies and drive revenue even when you can't see someone in the practice. And that's not our choice. It'll be a governmental choice or a state choice or a recommendation to socially isolate. That's what I'd say right now. I would say in my business, one of the greatest things we've ever done is in events. Event-based events or live events, driving people to live events. Nothing has grown my business more than that. It's been fantastic for us, but you're going to have to possibly not rely on that now. So we're going to have to, we do webinars, we might have to drive people to webinars, as I say, drive people to online calls, etc. I think getting that strategy together or understanding that may be something you have to do is also quite important. So probably less on live events during social isolation, or definitely less, but focusing more on digital or virtual or email marketing and or direct response marketing. I think stuff through the post could be very powerful right now if you can get anyone to fulfill it, which shouldn't be a problem. Hope that answers your question, Dr. Mike.
Next question from Dr. Sarah in California. Should I carry on with my health talks and in-house screenings in my clinic at this time to continue to help grow my practice?
Okay, great question. I think it's very difficult to answer a lot of the questions as an absolute, because everyone practices in different places in the world. They have different restrictions. For instance, right now you can't do it in Italy because there is not allowed you're not allowed any commerce. You're not allowed to open any practices or any businesses. So that you're going to be forced in that position. So my recommendation would be this. I'm a big fan of events, of talks. I'm a big fan of getting out in the community and doing screenings where possible. I'm a big fan of doing lunch and learns. I'm a big fan of doing dinner with the docs. But I definitely think that you should continue doing everything until your hand is forced, or this is where knowing your numbers is so important, is if your sign-up rate drops dramatically, then the cost per lead, or the ratio of cost per lead or cost per client or cost per acquisition might climb to an extent where it's not worth doing. But at the same time, I think that we're probably going to have to go through a phase right now where we cherish let me say that again, cherish the 3 new patients that you get from the talk. Cherish the 5 you get. Yes, we've all been through times where, especially in my inner circle members and my own practices, where people are getting 20, 30 new patients in a talk. We've had one of my inner circle members get 103 new patients in one lunch and learn. So I think we've been spoilt. I think we have to manage expectations now and go, as long as I know my lifetime value of a customer patient or my PVA, and I know that it's still worthwhile from a cost per acquisition or cost per lead perspective. To answer your question, it would be continue doing them until you watch that ratio, and this is what's so important about your numbers. But at the same time, I have to stress again, It's more about knowing what it is. So yes, continue doing everything as you would normally do, but I would put extra emphasis on knowing your numbers. How many people registered? What was your front end costs? Did you recoup those costs on the front end? What was your final, as I say, cost per lead, cost per acquisition, and then also monitoring the conversions right the way through. So if you know your numbers a little bit more, you're not going blindly. So to answer your question, it depends. It just depends on where you practice in the world. I know you're in California. It depends on, I know there's a couple of events that have been canceled in California, significant events, but are people still showing up to events of 10 or 20? Only you can answer that. And if they are, keep doing them. But cherish the 3, cherish the 4, cherish the 1, cherish the 3 patients that you get from any of those live events, or 5. Old days, people are like, oh, it's not worth going. I only got 3 new patients. I'm going to tell you, we're going to a phase right now where it's totally worth doing for 3 new patients, 4 new patients, if you understand your lifetime value and your cost per lead. Hope that answers your question. Have a good time in California.
Next question from Dr. Jonathan in Canada. Dr. Ryan, there's a lot of scare right now that practices might have to close. What should I be doing if that happens?
Okay, first of all, look, the big thing I can tell you right now is there's 2 elements to it. One is it's the society. Society is scared, and there's not much we can do about that besides how we respond. So first of all, understand that you've got zero power. You've got zero power in what is dictated on us if you have to close. For instance, if you go into social distancing within your country, like they've done into Italy, is you don't have a choice. You've got to close. So I think you should be preparing. I think you should be preparing for the fact that you may have a drop in revenue or loss in revenue. But I don't think that, I think there's too much focus on, look, there's lots of levers you can pull. Can you drop overheads? I don't know what the government are doing in your part of the world. Is there, here in the United Kingdom, they have suspended rates for a year, which is a significant help. Rates are as much as 40% of the rental. So that's a significant help, etc. But I think you should be trying to pull levers where you can have conversation. If you don't have to right now, but if it goes that route, don't be too proud. That's the first question. The next is, I think you should be having conversations. I think everyone should be having conversations with their teams about not just carrying on. Certainly carry on and be calm, but not just carrying on. I do believe I think it's a bit of an excuse that to just not actually do anything, because that is very close to the analogy of a deer in the headlights. So I do think people should be having teams and brainstorm with the teams of how you can leverage something called reverse customer loyalty now, where you're educating your patient list. You are helping them, with reducing the fear that they have, educating them on how they can get help through your service and how they can get extra adjustments if they need it, or whatever it is. So that's the first thing I think you should be doing, having meetings, preparing your team. But if you have to close, I definitely think that you should be determined to make the time that you're closed productive. Determined. So, for instance, what phone calls can the team be making? I would be preparing data right now for people who can have personal phone calls, people that can have personal letters, people that can have personal video messages through Use Loom and things like that if you had to close during that period, because you're going to have more capacity to do those things. But crucially, I would say this, is understand that I do believe in all bricks and mortar businesses, yes, there are going to be financial strains if they have to close, but it's not so much about having to close for 2 weeks if something's closed. It's about the loss of momentum when you open. So I think right now you should be making sure that every single person has as many future appointments booked as possible, whether that's catch-up sessions or whatever it is, and however you practice. But there's going to be a big push in businesses right now. It's just minimizing the effect that, let's say, a closure has on momentum in a business where people are not future booked. So I think that was, in my short answer would be, that's all you're going to be focusing on right now, is minimizing potential loss of momentum when things go back to normal, because they will be short-lived. So that's the first thing that your team will need a leader to step up, brainstorm ideas, look for ways to stay productive. If you have to close, there were loads of things we're not doing in our practices, and then everything you can do to minimize the loss of momentum for when we come back. That would be my advice.
Next one was from a doctor that's not left their name, but they said they're based in Holland, and they've asked, should they be looking at other sources of income at this time?
So, Doc, listen, I think that I've been like preaching this for a while, and in some circles, I even get a bit of stick for it because, there is sometimes, there's this idea that if somebody has got multiple forms of income, that they maybe don't value chiropractic as much or the business of chiropractic much or whatever it is, and that's absolutely not the truth. So my answer to you is I don't think you should be looking now for it. I think that the best time to, as I say, the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. And I think that I think every human being should be always looking for multiple forms of income. Because I always say this, it's not if, it's when you lose or drop significantly in some type of income. Many times out of our hand. Look what's happening now. Look what's happening now with the coronavirus. It's, if you're in Italy right now, you've got no choice. There's nothing you've done wrong that's creating a loss of income for you. But if you had the ability to make money online, or if you had many rental properties, you would still be making income, and preferably even in many different countries to minimize the risk. If you were able to make money on the stock market right now, you're in the stock market, you make money when you go up and when you go down, if you know what you're doing. So that's not my game. But what I'm saying is that I wouldn't do it out of knee-jerk reaction to the thing that's happened. I would do it from a perspective of it's a good business practice. The worst number in business is 1. If you have only one source of income, meaning your practice, it's a bad number. But having said that, I don't know too many industries or too many businesses in the world where you can make the money you can make in chiropractic, and also the level of satisfaction you can make and the lifestyle you can create for yourself. So I always like to say that wherever I work with, the practice is the cash cow. The practice is the thing that's created huge abundance in my life. I'd never be where I am today without my 8 practices, even though I make a lot of money online and a lot of money in real estate. So the answer is, yep, you should actually be doing it, but not now. Like, focus on what's in front of you. Don't start learning a brand new skill set if potentially we have a financial crash or crisis or depression, coming, as, all the doomsday sayers are saying. I don't think it's going to be that, but you certainly you don't have to quickly knee-jerk go learn a brand new skill. There are loads of skills right now in your practice that you're not using that you can leverage to even monetize even your patient list. So even within the business you're doing, there is other businesses within that, because you've got a whole database of patients that are bought for you that know, like, and trust you. There's always a segment of every single database or customer list that will purchase from you again, irrelevant of what you offer, just about. Let me say that again. Obviously relatable, but if you had to launch something to your patient list and they know, like, and trust you about something they can do at home, for instance, if you had to close, I promise you there'd be a percentage of people that would purchase that. It's just that you need to have the skill set to do that. So the answer is yes and no. It's absolutely yes, but let's not go knee-jerk reaction right now when we need to be focusing on ways to minimize the effect of whatever happening where you practice in Holland on your business. Because I think it's a good thing to do. So, yep, you should absolutely have multiple forms of income, but just be careful of the timing of that right now if you should be focusing on minimizing the risk in the practice. Hope that helps. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. I've got a webinar coming up in just over a week, or so, depending when you watch this. Click on the link below, find out the date and when the webinar is coming up, and I'll be covering on exactly how the strategies, the lists, the data that we're mining right now to make sure that, and the precautionary measures we're taking in case, for instance, we have to close our practices, etc., because we don't have a choice. Maybe government dictates that. I'm going to go through a full webinar of how to run your practice during coronavirus, how to minimize risk, how to drive new patients, how to drive revenue, potentially even when you have to close. Some secrets there I'm going to be giving away on how we're doing it, because I'm in the game. Don't forget, I've got 8 practices. I'm doing it. Click on the link below. Make sure you register for a webinar. See you soon.